It's the cutest little thing that Bruno can't make the same jump as the other hero, so he uses his axe to lift himself up. He's doing his best. Anyway, Dark Alliance is out, and here is every tip, trick, thought, statement, fact, and more that I have found so far. Let's go. This video is sponsored by you. If you're going to enjoy this video, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button and the like, the dislike button, whatever you please. And let me know in the comments down below if I have missed any tips so that we can all help each other out. Let's go. Now, if you have watched any of my tips videos in the past, you will know that I break down these sections based on what the tip is for. But with Dark Alliance, there is really only two categories, being combat and upgrades. So we're going to start with combat and then we'll get into some upgrade tips. So starting off with combat, the first thing you should do just when you boot the game is widen your field of view so that you can see more of the battlefield. This is a huge step so that you can see what's happening kind of around you rather than just in front of you. This also coincides with not using the lock-on system, which absolutely ruins your field of view, so just completely avoid locking onto enemies. Now for some combat basics, don't button mash. You really want to focus on using your combos and learning your combos for your specific heroes. There is plenty that you can learn, and as you do unlock more moves, you'll also have different abilities and combo abilities at your disposal. There is a tutorial dungeon as well as the dummies at the camp that you can play around with and learn these combos so you can work out what works best for you. I recommend finding one or two, probably two different combos that you can accurately trigger every single fight and just stick to those. Once you've learned two, then you can learn three, and then you unlock more abilities. You can learn different things. There's plenty of things that you can do. Your attack direction is tied to the way that your camera is facing. So you can't attack and then alternate your camera direction and then the attack will move with it. You have to be pointing your camera in the right direction when you trigger the attack. For this reason, having a high camera sensitivity is probably a good idea so that you can move around quickly and change directions quickly. Also focus on the threat ring that is around your character at all times. If it is a red arrow, there is an attack currently incoming from that direction. Yellow means that there is something getting close to you, and white just means there is an enemy in that direction. If you don't like your character that you are playing, you can easily switch without having to redo the story. You can just go back into the main menu, create a new character, boot back into the game, and you can continue exactly from where you were in the story and have all of the dungeon unlocks. You will have to level that character, gear them up, do all that usual stuff, but you can just keep playing from that point without having to restart from the beginning. Some of the moves that you will unlock are actually abilities that you can trigger. Now you have to actually equip these in the equipped menu. While going into your abilities, you can view the ones that you have unlocked, choose the options that you want, and you can equip them from there. You can only have two equipped at a time, so choose wisely. For some more advanced combat tips, you can't directly animation cancel. There are some animations you can, but the only clear way to animation cancel is by rolling. You can roll out of most attacks, which you should be doing if you are trying to avoid a damage. The tutorial dungeon teaches you about emboldened strikes, but you basically will never use them after that point. But you should. Emboldened strikes uses some of your ultimate bar, but it does do a decent amount of damage and a stagger typically, so you should be using them when you do have the ability to, maybe on some of these trolls that are more elites, they're not really bosses. If you are playing in co-op, you can also trigger team attacks, and basically what this is if you parry an enemy, they will go into a state where your ally can then initiate a team attack. It just is a different animation and a little bit more damage that they can do to that enemy. You can only do this in co-op, and in order to do this, you or your ally has to parry the enemy, and then you can follow up. You'll get a button prompt, you can follow up on that attack. There is also execution attacks. Now, I have personally never been able to get this to actually trigger, but what's supposed to happen is that when an enemy runs out of stamina and they are covered in this yellow line to indicate they are out of stamina, you can trigger an execution by using your fierce attack to trigger one. It should do more damage, but I've never actually really seen it look like any different animation. I've tried it a couple of times. I haven't noticed it. If you can figure out how to actually get this to trigger, please let me know in the comments down below. A couple of other things I've noticed is that if you are attacking from behind, you will deal crits and extra damage. So if you are playing in co-op, always try and attack from behind if the enemy isn't directly attacking you, and be mindful of your stamina usage. It's very easy to run out of stamina, especially with Wolfgar. I have no idea how this man uses up all of his stamina in 2 hits, but if you do use up all of your stamina, or you are using these big heavy hitting moveset abilities, you will lose some of your maximum stamina via this little bar. You can regen this by using a stamina potion, which you can purchase from the merchant, and you will also regen this when you do leave the dungeon, so be mindful of how much stamina you are actually using in combat. And now we're going to move on to some upgrade tips, and we're going to start off with some dungeon specific things. So in every dungeon, you should be exploring as much as possible because you will get extra loot, and you should also be doing the extra side objectives. The small chests that you find just give you gold, and the bigger chests that you find will actually drop an item that you can pick up and you will get at the end of the dungeon. In most scenarios where you can short rest or increase the loot rarity, you should increase the loot rarity. In my experience, playing on the lower tier difficulties and always choosing to increase the loot rarity is the best option to do. Even if you get all the way to the very end of the dungeon and you haven't got a single checkpoint, you can respawn at the very beginning and just go all the way and clear through it again. The downside is that you won't be able to create a checkpoint once you've made a camp decision on that specific spot if you do get through there again. So just be mindful of that. Every dungeon will have an attribute point that you can get. They will often have a puzzle you'll have to solve in order to get the attribute point. So make sure you are doing this and getting it in every single dungeon, as it just benefits you further so you can upgrade your character. After you've completed the dungeon, you've earned all of your gold and loot. How should you spend that gold? Well, I think the best priority is to focus on your moves first, then upgrading your potions and buying new potions, and then the gear upgrades themselves. Initially, in the early stages, until you get through most of the acts, upgrading the gear you have isn't the best idea because you're going to get better gear just by doing the acts themselves. Move sets and potion upgrades are permanent. You will always have access to the move or the specific potions you've bought and the upgrades if you choose to use them. So focus on these first. Then once you have found a gear set that you like, then start upgrading that gear set. And make sure you are buying the different potions. It took me far too long to realize that you can just buy the other potions rather than just the health potion. All you have to do is click on them and purchase them. I thought you had to do some special thing to unlock them. Nope. All you have to do is buy them. Now for your gear itself, and really just leveling up. When you do level up, you'll get an attribute point and feat points to spend, as well as moves, which you can just spend with gold, but that's a separate thing. Make sure in the character sheet you are spending your attribute points. How you should spend these is really up to the character you are playing. I don't want to get into this too deep, as I'm going to have specific character videos coming out that will give you more of a general idea of what you should do here, but a general rule, constitution is really important for stamina, and probably some kind of physical damage, whether that be strength or dexterity, depending on your character, is a good focus regardless of the character you're playing. Set bonuses on your gear is actually very important. The set bonuses is probably one of the key things you need to focus on when you are upgrading your gear. Pretty much you can sell most of your commons and uncommons, probably blue rarity gear as well. You do want to keep everything that's probably an epic and above, especially when it's on a rank or 2 or 3 piece of gear. So then, if you do find a gear set you like and you find a piece that you can use that with, then you can equip it. In terms of what gear sets to focus on, I personally recommend to focus on the class gear sets rather than the status effects gear. All of the characters will have their own personal class gear sets, while there is a status effect for all of the different status effects like lightning, acid, etc. that are spread across all of the characters. Focus on the class ones first. If you do get 2 pieces of gear that are the same, they will have slight differences, being the rank or the secondary stats. The secondary stats are rolled differently to the gear that they are on, so you can actually get god rolls on gear. So pay attention to the secondary stats on gear, especially have 2 pieces that are exactly the same. Choose which one is most beneficial to you and sell the other one. And now a couple of little co-op things just to close us out. Now, when you are playing in co-op, you do have to stay near the host, whoever is the host of the game. If you move too far away from them, you will instantly teleport to them for some reason. And you also will have to pick up your own loot. Say if there is a loot chest, someone else has opened it and it drops loot, you have to physically go over there yourself and pick it up. They can't pick it up for you. It's just worth noting so you aren't missing out on your own loot. You will have to go over there and get it yourself. If you're looking for more content, you can check out my Biomutant content, which has plenty of guides, builds, tips, and all sorts for you to check out. I will have class guides coming out for Dark Alliance in the next few days, so keep an eye on the channel for that. Please follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and on Twitch, where I stream 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, Australian night times. Hope to see you guys there in the next stream. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Norzza, and I hope you have a great day.